Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, guiding you through the trails of Glacier National Park, which we love doing, and we could do it forever. So I hope that you enjoy listening, and I hope that it inspires you to get out into Glacier because it's such a wonderful place. We were just talking about that it's like one of a kind in the world in a lot of ways, from the landscape to the wildlife to the geology, all of these things in one place. And we are so lucky to be here, to live here. And if you're looking to explore the park, we hope that we can be a good resource for you. So here's our passion again coming out in form of guiding you through some trails. Today we are excited to talk about a slightly lesser known hike in Glacier. Scalplock Lookout is what we will be discussing.
Scalplock is special because, as Josh said, it's rarely visited and you don't need a park pass to get there. It is located at the Walton Ranger Station, so on Highway 2. It's the southern sector of the park, so Highway 2 kind of borders Glacier.
Yeah, it forms the border. As you travel Highway 2 from west to east Glacier or the reverse, it's Highway 2 is essentially the border also along the river, and this is kind of right at that southern point.
Yeah, it borders the Middle Fork of the Flathead, but the trailhead is located almost directly in the center between West Glacier and East Glacier in the little town, I don't even know if you'd call it a town, of Essex. Mm-hmm. Pretty special place. So if you're coming from West Glacier, it's about 28 miles going east, and if you're coming from East Glacier, it's about 31 miles. So It comes up pretty quick. It's right by the bridge that goes over the river.
Yeah, and you're looking all around at the scenery. It's a beautiful. The railroad passes through, and you're looking down at the river, so it's beautiful. You could miss it, but no problem. And I think the residents of Essex would argue and say, yes, it is a town.
They probably
And there's
would.
couple of neat things around that, including, the Goat Lick Overlook. And as we talk about, again, get yourself oriented, because West Glacier and East Glacier are entrances to Glacier National Park on either side, and they're totally different areas. We've talked about that, how they're different ecosystems just about. There's, totally unique feel to each side of the park.
Yeah, you're still on the west side of the Continental Divide, so you haven't quite crossed over. So it's a little more veggie on this side, a little bit more wet, which is nice. But yeah, look for the sign that says Walton Ranger Station, and you drive in, and there's a couple of picnic areas, and you find your parking spot towards the end of that little area there, and there is a pit toilet there at the beginning. You can walk down. There's a little trail that walks down to the edge of the river, which is really pretty.
And you've got to explore the Walton Ranger Station. What used to be formerly known as the Isaac Walton Inn is a great place to stay. They've got the railroad cars, cable cars to stay in. There's some cross-country ski trails. We won't get too far into it, but I just like this area because it feels like you're a little more off the beaten path, and that is the nature of this hike. Scalplock Lookout, it's a buster, you're heading up to a lookout. So many hikes in Glacier are an out and back and up and down, and you get your work done first. You get up to your destination and then can kind of cruise down. But this one is about a 10-mile round trip, maybe just under, and 3,200 feet, somewhere right around there of elevation gain. So, it's a 2 to 3, a 2/3 ratio of distance to feet on the 1-to-1, like we talk about. 1 mile and 1,000 feet of elevation is kind of that standard, biggest hike in Glacier. And, it goes up, but that means you get a lot of great views of surrounding areas. So when you look at it, we call it a moderately strenuous hike. It's not super far in terms of Glacier hikes, where some of the named hikes are up to 20 miles, and this one's just around 10 round trip. But it gains, 3,000 feet of elevation, so that's pretty strenuous. The summit or the lookout is at just under 7,000 feet. 6,919 is the technical elevation of that lookout. So you're getting, up there. And Sarah, what do you see into all kinds of different areas? Glacier, south into the Bob.
Yeah, you can see south into the Bob Marshall, the part of the Bob Marshall, the Great Bear Wilderness Complex area there. And when you're at the summit, you can see into the central or north into the park. You can look northwest towards the Nyack.
But you're positioned in such a place, and obviously if there was a lookout built there, it has a great view of surrounding areas. You as Sarah mentioned, you can look north into Glacier Park and even west into certain southern areas of the park. The Bob Marshall, you can see off into the distance in the east, and toward the plains. You can see a lot from here.
Yeah, and you will encounter 2 junctions. So the first one comes up pretty quick, and there's a junction for Scalplock Lookout and then Ole Creek. So you want to stay to the left, and then you'll encounter a second junction, and you want to stay to the right for Scalplock.
And the truth is, check it out and even track it on your own, because the mileage sign may be slightly incorrect. It says 4.3 miles to the lookout, and ours said quite a bit more than that. And others I've read also say it's could be more than that. So sometimes you've got to just be up for an extra half mile one way or the other. And in this case, that might be true. But anyway, you're headed up to the lookout, and you know where you're going, and you know how challenging it's going to be.
Yeah, after that second junction is when it starts, climbing switchbacks up the flank of Scalplock there. But as you climb higher, of course, the views get better and better. So it's kind of neat to see looking down on the Essex town site there. And the trail alternates from forest to small bursts of grassy little meadows there before you finally hit the summit. You can kind of see the tower, the fire tower, before you approach it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. And traveling this trail, as always, depends when you do it. Most recently, we hiked it in late October with a good friend of ours, Stephanie, and it was a beautiful fall day. And the trees laid out before you, the crisp air, getting up higher and higher, cooling you off as you go. It's just a great challenge that when you achieve it, it just feels as good as it sounds.
And we did encounter snow, depending on the time of year that you go. You can do this in the winter, too. It's obviously going to be a little bit tougher and wear snowshoes and stuff. But we encountered snow in October halfway up. So I was really thankful that we had spikes on our shoes. And with any hike where you're climbing steep up or down, I think poles are so helpful, even if you're young. Save those knees. But I am really pushing for using those poles.
If we can push you from here to use them, we will. Trekking poles are a must-have. It maintains and increases your momentum on the way up. I mean, it really helps to dig in, and it really decreases that momentum on the way down and saves your knees. And we're big fans, and we use them. We bring them everywhere. There's a couple of things, as long as we're talking about it. Let's discuss trekking poles, because you may be unfamiliar with what you need. And, we've got, any of them are great. We've got an REI model that we love. A couple of things to look out for. Cork handles are terrific. If it's summer and your palms are sweaty, there's less rubbing. So look for cork on the handles. I like clips as opposed to twist. As you're extending the poles, clips you can tighten a little more. They don't loose very easily. And if you're just twisting in order to kind of cinch the pole as it added extension points, I just don't trust those as much. And buy as light as you can afford, because you're carrying these and you're 10, 20, 30,000 steps, and you're alternating your arms using these poles. So buy as light as you can afford. There's great other brands too, Black Diamond and a lot of things. But we'll use them every time, and I wouldn't do most of these hikes without them.
And ladies, it gives you a nice little arm workout if you're using them.
That's true. So from time to time, we will make recommendations on gear. And the truth is, everything is better with the appropriate gear. We were out recently in the winter, and to have gaiters and snowshoes and spikes available, just really take a look at where you're going, when you're going there, and what gear you might need. And we'll continue to try to help you with that. But we've got more to say about Scalplock Lookout. We're going to take a short break. Stick with us.
Some trails are easy, others not so much. But Josh and Sarah from Hiking Fools will tell you the best views are worth the climb. At Freedom Bank, we go the extra mile too, finding creative solutions, offering personal service, and giving you tools to bank anywhere in Northwest Montana. We're Freedom Bank, small but mighty. Let's make your goals happen. Freedom Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools, and we have been discussing a terrific hike in the southern part of Glacier National Park, Scalplock Lookout. And Sarah, we've talked about, there are various, how many? 9 lookouts throughout the park or something like that?
Yeah, Scalplock is one of 9 in the park, and it is active seasonally.
Okay.
So Scalplock, Huckleberry, Numa Ridge, and Swift Current, plus Lone Man sometimes in the park.
Lone Man.
Yeah, so if you happen to be up there in the summer months, you might encounter the person who's up there and working for the summer. Yeah, so be respectful of that. We always say that if someone's staying up there, that is their home space. So don't go climbing around looking in the windows. But in the off season, it is boarded up, so feel free to walk around on the catwalk and stuff. There is a pit toilet up there at the top and a picnic table. So it's kind of nice to have a little picnic up there. Mm-hmm. This tower was built in 1931. And, we talked about the views, but you got Park Creek, you got the Middle Fork of the Flathead River, you got, further north into Glacier and northwest into the Nyack of Glacier and over in the eastern part too, Running Rabbit Mountain. This is a good place to break out. We've talked about your downloading the Peak Finder app. I think it's really fun when you get to the top of a mountain to break that out. You really love to do that, Josh.
I do love to do that. Maybe too much, It's called Peak Finder, and it does name and label everything in the surrounding area. It kind of finds your location, GPS location, and then syncs it up and knows exactly where. So you can turn 360 and just know what's around you. For some reason, I love to do that. And in Glacier Park, there are so many places that you approach from different angles, and the mountains, you'll be surprised. It's incredible how different they might look from different places in the park, but still recognizable. I feel like I know most of them.
Well, St. Nick, that's pretty
intimately.
recognizable,
That's true.
Which you'll be able to see.
That's right. Mount St. Nicholas is pretty a great spire in Glacier National Park that you can see from this lookout.
So Scalplock, where did this name come from exactly?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Scalplock, it was kind of named for it. There's a long lock of hair left on top of a shaven head of a Native American warrior. And this mountain, after a fire came through, a small tuft of trees was left there, and I believe that's how it got its name. But it's kind of neat, and it almost makes you feel intimidated. Scalplock Lookout, at least I feel like that. And we found some information, especially there's a great book out there, Fire Lookouts by Steve Rains, and we've used that in the past, and it's a great resource too.
Yeah, this natural formation, it occurred after some huge fires that swept through Idaho and Montana, and it gave the mountain its name back in 1911.
Oh, wow. Okay, and the tower was built 20 years later. And here we are today, almost 100 years after that, enjoying it. We mentioned this is a terrific hike to see all kinds of things, mountains. And that's Glacier in a nutshell, is mountains, lakes, rivers, forests, valleys. You get to some of these places on these hikes and you can take it all in. And this one in particular, as we mentioned, you're driving along the Flathead River, the Middle Fork of the Flathead River to get there. It kind of creates a natural boundary of the park, but the Flathead River is great.
It's beautiful. So the Middle Fork of the Flathead River it's a protected tributary forming the southern border of Glacier, as Josh mentioned. The headwaters originated in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, and all in all, at the end, it meets the North Fork, and all the forks meet together, and it flows into Flathead Lake, which eventually go to the Columbia River and into the Pacific Ocean. But it's a pretty important river. It's labeled wild and scenic, and it has been since 1976, and it's known for its class 2 to 5 whitewater, which you can take some, you can go out on the whitewater tours,
sure.
which is
Just
kind of cool. We've done that a few times.
Another way to experience the park, yeah.
But this pristine river system, it includes all 3 forks, as I mentioned, the north, the middle, and the south. And the Middle Fork runs for 92 miles before meeting the North Fork. So it's kind of a long stretch, and it goes through Columbia Falls down to Flathead Lake, like I'd mentioned, Clark Fork to the Columbia River. We love the Columbia River. It's a basin. It's a major basin, and the Flathead Lake is a major drainage system that carries water from the Rocky Mountains all the way to Flathead Lake and down to the ocean. So it's kind of important. But I love this river. It's the crystal clear water. It's a great place if you end this hike and if it's in the summertime, you're going to get hot. It's a great place to go and take a dip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you're on some of these hikes in this area, you're forced to ford the river. But if it's a hot summer day, then you're going to really enjoy that part of it. Taking your shoes off and sticking your feet in the river.
Skipping some rocks.
Ooh, yeah, the river rocks around here are incredible. And it's just, the water is such a big part of what makes this a special place.
Yeah.
And I do want to take a minute to talk about some of the trees in this area. As I mentioned, in the fall, as you're climbing, a lot of places in Montana, and especially this hike, laid out before you, beneath you, is a terrific blend of green and yellow, a kind of a nice glowing yellow tree, the western larch. And there's a lot known about it. It's a deciduous conifer, and meaning that it drops its needles, seasonally. And so, an evergreen is quite literal. A deciduous conifer drops its needles seasonally. The western larch is a beautiful tree, and it changes in the fall to kind of that glowing orange-yellow color. And, there's a lot of places around here, or we mentioned Tamarack, and the brewery especially, it's a great place in Lakeside, but Tamarack trees are slightly different. There are different species actually. A Tamarack grows in a couple of things that are different is the location and the size. And so Tamarack do grow in more, wet areas, bogs, swamps in the eastern United States. And the larch tree, the western larch, it grows more on mountain slopes and valleys. So that is the tree that you'll see out here. And so it depends where it grows and then the size. Western larch are much larger trees, reaching up to 250, 260 feet in height, whereas a tamarack tree only gets about 60 feet in height. And so it's 4 to 5 times taller. They're huge. They're beautiful. And you can see, they're so soft. If you travel by the larch tree, just touch its needles and understand that it's a pretty unique species of tree, and it's all over the place out here, and it's just beautiful, especially on this hike.
Yeah, you like to talk about the Packer trees in the fall, the Packer hillside.
It's true. That's true. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and that's what it looks like, the green and gold. And I can't deny that. I like, as we mentioned too, places to come out of the park and eat food. Lakeside's a little further down, but Tamarack Brewing is a great place. And I like Tamarack. I just don't think Western Larch Brewing would have been a good choice. So anyways, you'll see those terms kind of used interchangeably. And you may not need to know the specifics, the difference in the species of tree. But just so you know, what you're looking at maybe creates even more appreciation for the scenery around here in Glacier Park.
Wildlife. I would say, this is definitely a place to see bear, so be bear aware. Carry your bear spray at the front and be ready. Practice getting that out. This is a great place to see deer. You got whitetail, you got mule deer, occasional elk pass through this area here. And Josh mentioned Goat Lick. So Goat Lick's not too far from where you're at. In fact, just down the road. So, when you end your hike, go swing down there in the parking area and take a look for some Rocky Mountain goats. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool to see them licking the minerals off in that area along the river.
So plenty to see. What a great hike. Scalplock Lookout, about 10 miles round trip, 3,000 feet of elevation gain. So, it'll take some major effort. The lookout, you reach a point just under 7,000 feet at your highest elevation. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful, quiet hike in a less explored area of the park. And an excellent time to do it would be in the fall, and that's our favorite. But we hope you enjoyed this. So, check out our Instagram page at Hiking Fools MT to see some great photos from our recent adventures. And tune in next time. Check out more episodes online, and remember to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go